July 2006. I don't remember anything about my personal life, so let's jump into the books. And the first book that I read in July of 2006 is Spider-Man: The Darkest Hours by Jim Butcher. I actually have this in an omnibus that I didn't feel like taking out, and since it's not the individual book, which I gave to my nephew, I'm not showing you anything. But it's Spider-Man: The Darkest Hours, Jim Butcher. In this story, Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, still married to Mary Jane, and he's a high school science teacher. Everything seems to be just fine until the Rhino goes on a rampage. Spidey goes to stop him, but he's thwarted by the Black Cat because she tells him the Rhino's just a distraction. The real enemy is the Ancients, who are this group, and part of that group was Morlun. Not sure if that's how you pronounce his name, who Spider-Man has defeated in the past, but now the Ancients want revenge, and they want to suck the life force out of Peter Parker. What's he going to do? It's probably going to be some horrific stuff, since it's Jim Butcher. Not too horrific. It's not like it's Edward Lee. I like Jim Butcher. Pretty decent Spider-Man story. I wasn't super familiar with the Ancients and Morlun. I think Morlun and possibly the rest of the Ancients are involved in the first big Spider-Verse crossover that Marvel did, because they're all about absorbing the essence of all the Spider characters, I believe. But fun Spider-Man novel. Spider-Man: The Darkest Hours, Jim Butcher. Next up, we have Black Order by James Rollins. This is the third Sigma Force novel, which, in my opinion, is when Rollins started doing the Dan Brown kind of thing, Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons kind of thing that some authors started to do, where the characters are following these ancient hidden puzzle pieces. But in this one, Gray Pierce of Sigma Force is looking into a mystery that I forgot what it is. But he's looking into something weird. And then we have a doctor named Lisa Cummings who's looking into this. There was a monastery in Nepal where the monks went crazy and became cannibals and stuff. She's looking into that. She's being helped by the head of Sigma Force, whose name I don't recall. And of course, her storyline and Gray Pierce's storyline are going to sort of come together. I wish I could remember. It's like on the tip of my brain what it is Gray Pierce is investigating. So, someone is looking for a Bible, an old Bible that was owned by Charles Darwin, and Sigma Force is trying to thwart these bad guys that want the Bible for some reason. How it's going to tie into the cannibalistic monks in a monastery in Nepal, who knows? These are fun books. I like James Rollins, but I don't know. I lost interest when they became the Sigma Force books, and again, it just felt like he was mimicking Dan Brown. Here's an ancient artifact. It gives me a clue that's going to lead me to the next ancient artifact. It gives me a clue that's going to lead me to the next thing, which is going to reveal some crazy historical mystery. Still good. Not my favorite. Prefer his standalone stuff. Next up, Ghouls by Edward Lee. Look at that beautiful, beautiful cover. And this is, I hate to say typical Edward Lee. Definitely not the most extreme Edward Lee. Tylersville, Maryland is where this takes place. Not as southern as most of his stuff. And it just said the murders were only the beginnings. No one knew what went on in the sullen dark house on the hill, but town cop Kurt Morris intended to find out. The sleepy town of Tylersville, Maryland was being stalked by an unimaginable evil. It had become the hunting ground for horrors too grisly to be described. Young girls had vanished without a trace. Graves had been opened, corpses unearthed and carried away. Quiet moonlit nights gave way to a mindless slaughter and to the sounds of hysterical screams. There's more, but that should pique your interest. This is old Ed Lee. I was very excited to find this copy. This is 1988. First printing, July 1988. Tempted to go back and read this very soon for that cover alone. But just to sort of remind myself, a lot of the Edward Lee that's coming out of late is that super over-the-top stuff. There's some newer stuff he's done that I haven't picked up yet, but what I've been reading of his more recent stuff is that super over-the-top, and this is, I think, a little more subdued than that. And it'll be fun to sort of go back and read old Edward Lee, but ghouls. For the cover alone, great stuff. It's the only one I have to show you. Next up, Natural Selection by Dave Friedman. And this, I had no idea what this was, couldn't remember anything about it, but it absolutely sounds like my kind of book. We've got these marine biologists, scientists, looking into these enormous dolphins, according to the description on Amazon, with giant bite marks taken out of them. And they don't seem to match up with any known aquatic predator. So they eventually discover that it's prehistoric manta rays, which is bad enough, but they learn to fly so they can get out of the water and attack people on land. This sounds like my kind of book. I don't know why I don't remember anything at all about it. Maybe it wasn't that well written. But again, the kind of thing I feel like I should go back and give another chance, because you know I love the killer animals. Prehistoric killer manta rays. Natural Selection. Dave Friedman. Excuse me. Then we have Sea Change by Robert B. Parker. This is a Jesse Stone novel, number 5. According to Amazon, of 22. I did not realize there were so many Jesse Stone novels. Jesse Stone, alcoholic, lost his job, I believe, in California, now works in a place called Paradise, in Maine, I think, as the sheriff. A lady of of wealth is found murdered. Jesse Stone's going to investigate. There's her yacht is parked off the coast of Paradise, and the victim's twin sisters are on there. Of course, they're suspects. They're all from Florida. I guess the parents are living some weird lifestyle down in Florida. Jesse Stone's got to figure it all out. Big fan of Robert B. Parker. Jesse Stone, not my favorite character, but they're still good, interesting mysteries with interesting characters. Parker's character work is fantastic. The penultimate book from July of 2006. Missing Monday by Matthew Costello. Normally known as Matthew J. Costello, but I always go with whatever's on the cover, and there was no J on the cover. Our main character is Jana, and she wakes up on Tuesday with no memory of Monday. Everything was normal when she went to bed on Sunday. Next thing she knows, it's Tuesday morning. She's waking up. She talks to some people she knows. They're like, yeah, you went to work. You were perfectly normal yesterday on Monday. She doesn't remember any of it. Goes to therapy. But, of course, things are going to get crazy. Secret organizations and Earth world-threatening threats. And what does it have to do with Jana and her missing Monday? You'd have to read it to find out. Matthew J. Costello's always hit and miss for me. I don't really remember much about this book. He's, I think, he's an okay writer. Don't hate his stuff. I don't know that I've read anything of his that I love, but I don't avoid him. Not actively looking for his stuff if I come across it. have a chance to read it. I'm not going to say no necessarily. And it's an intriguing premise. Missing Monday, Matthew J. Costello. And I finished out July of 2006 with Bluesky by Robert B. Parker. This is a Sonny Randall novel. Number 5 of however many. I don't know how. I didn't notice how many Sonny Randall novels there are. Sonny Randall's Private Eye. And in this, she's hired initially to be the bodyguard of this bitchy Hollywood actress, and who's being groomed to play professional baseball. And so she feels that she's under threat by, people that don't want a woman in men's sports. And but when the actress's intern or somebody is murdered, Sonny Randall's going to go from being bodyguard to investigator. And there's a special guest star, Jesse Stone. I can't remember if Jesse Stone, there's something to do, he's a former baseball player or planned to be a baseball player before he became law enforcement. And so, since this actress was going to be in baseball, it sort of ties in with Jesse Stone. He knows all about the game. But Sonny Randall's got to solve a murder with Jesse Stone's help. I do like the Sonny Randall books generally. If I had to rank Robert B. Parker's Private Eyes, Spencer, of course, number 1. And I think Sonny Randall's number 2, and then Jesse Stone. Not that Jesse Stone sucks, just that I like Sonny Randall a little bit better, and Spencer's just fantastic. One of the best detective series there is. So that's Bluesky by Robert B. Parker. And that is everything that I read in July of 2006. Question for the video is going to be similar to one that I asked recently, but I'm going to be a little more specific. I don't think a lot of people that watch my videos read comic book novels, but if an author you loved wrote a comic book novel, would you pick it up and read it? Whether or not it's a character that you care about. Now, I've always been a big Spider-Man fan. I grew up with the 1966 Spider-Man cartoon. Spider-Man was on Electric Company. One of the main reasons I watched that show was for hoping Spider-Man would show up. And of course, read the comics and everything. So, yeah, Jim Butcher writing a Spider-Man book, no-brainer. I was going to pick it up anyway. But let's say, I'm trying to think of a character I don't care for. I'm not a huge fan of the X-Men, and if you've watched these videos, you know I have the X-Men novels. I'm trying to think of like a character I really, really don't care for. Spawn. Not that I hate Spawn, but I'm not a big Spawn fan. I don't collect it or anything. But if Brian Keene or somebody at Joe Lansdale, whomever, wrote a Spawn novel, I'd absolutely pick it up and read it. I, again, tend to pick up comic book novels anyway, because just a big comic book fan, want that extra juice. I'm really trying to think of a character that I actively dislike. And I always say I hate the X-Men. I'm just not a big fan. Nothing against them. I've read X-Men comics, usually based on the writer. I have the Marvel Masterworks, the mighty Marvel Masterworks for the X-Men, for all those early issues. But I don't actually hate them. But the question is, what about you? If one of your favorite authors wrote a comic book novel, would you pick it up and read it, or would you pass it by? Would you be like, I love this author, not at all interested in Superman, not going to pick that up and read it? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. That's all I've got for this week. So until next week, read more books.